Normally you would start harvesting Maris Otter about the middle of July, and we're here now nearly on the last day of July, and we're not as far through harvest as we'd like. Unfortunately, the weather has really been against us this year. We've had a lot of rain, and when it rains, the straw becomes quite wet and is no good for thrashing. It won't go through the combine and won't do a very good job. So we're waiting for the sun to get out or the wind to pick up to dry the straw out so that it will do a good job and get a good quality grain at the end of the day. So the combine is doing about 3.5 kilometres an hour, and he's got 35-foot header on the front, so he's taking quite a large width of crop in, cutting the straw at the bottom only a couple of inches from the floor, and then he's taking all of that straw and the grain in through the combine. It's thrashing that really hard to separate out the grain from the straw, blowing it over a sieve to separate all the chaff from the grain, and then the grain is then stored in a tank until such time as he can expel that out of an auger into a waiting trailer. The tank on the combine can hold about 7 tonnes of grain, and so we'll fill each 14-tonne trailer with 2 potfuls off of the combine. Once the trailer's full, he can then make his way round to our store. When we get there, we weigh it over a weigh bridge, so we know exactly what tonnes we've got from each field. We then tip it onto a drying floor. What happens in the store is that there's ventilation strips through the floor. The grain is stored about 3 to 4 metres deep on that drying floor, and then we blow high volumes of air through the grain. That helps to cool the grain, and it can also be used for drying the grain. This year in particular, it's been about snatching opportunities when it's just right to go and combining for maybe only 2 to 3 hours at a time before you then get another shower of rain and you're back to square one again. We've brought the Maris Otter into the shed. This store holds about 450 tonnes of Maris Otter, so that's off of about 80 to 100 hectares worth of crop. On a nice hot August day, would have come in here at about 25 degrees centigrade and hopefully just below 15% moisture. And so once it's into store, our job then is to try and get the temperature down in the crop. We do that by ventilating the crop with ambient air. So the grain is currently sat on a ventilated floor. We'll blow the fans and blow cold air through the crop, and that will help cool the grain down. Once you get grain down to about 10 degrees, any pests or bugs and things like that will be living in the grain can't really survive, and they can't breed below those temperatures. So therefore, the grain should sit here quite happily until we need to load it up on a lorry and send it away.